that the law is giving practical or implementation challenges, let's go back to Parliament and amend the law. So the answer I gave was in connection of how the cure can be given. Because one, during the law was passed in 2016. Honorable Hadia Alima had challenges. Honorable Damboche had challenges. My very good brother who was asking me these questions also had challenges. And Mr. Chairman, the whole issue is how to resource local MMDs. And it is the minister responsible for local government who has that supervisory rules. So you can't give me job that I should go and fix the thing, and you've taken the pliers and the spanners from me. How am I going to fix it? That is why the former ministers for local governance after the law had those challenges. And Mr. Chairman, I don't want to sound too political, but truly, let's look at the performance of the MMDs, how DCs are not feeling comfortable to sit in their various offices because they always complain that greater portion of the DECF is deducted at source. So if the minister is giving control, the minister will get with members of parliament and will make sure that we do proper supervision, because through the committee responsible for local governance, you go and visit and we'll be able to do proper allocation and the right thing will be fixed. So you are right. The question was not what do I think about the position of the law. It's that what is man's opinion? Man's opinion is that yes, the administrator must respond to the minister responsible for local government to give the ministry the opportunity to be able to do government policies.
Honorable, in your answer, you brought up something very important. Okay, you brought up the issue of DACF deductions as source. That is a great worry to the district assemblies. And so I think that as Chief Whip, you have first-hand information on these challenges. So I want you to take the opportunity to tell us what you will do to address it.
Mr. Chairman, the first position is to work together with Parliament, because the approval for the formula for the disbursement of common fund is done by Parliament through a committee of the whole. And thankfully, the person going to be responsible for finance is a former leader of this house who used to champion the releases together with me. And your good self. So this is something that man leaders, including you, used to do. And we are going to deepen it.
Honorable Sifra, do you have any follow-up?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get the answer that I wanted to get from my honorable friend, the nominee. Honorable Ahmed, you cannot use an act of parliament, as it were, to meddle a constitutional provision. My question was, there are two constitutional provisions. Those constitutional provisions is determining how one appointment will have to be done. Article 7.
Honorable Asafra, you asked the question, the honorable member has given an answer. That is the honor's opinion, he said. So that's why I asked you, do you have a follow-up? So if you don't have a follow-up, then
I wanted to pick his opinion about if there is an opportunity for him that has been given to him by His Excellency the President as to how such an appointment will have to be done. My question to him is he going to advise the President to take the Article 70 or take the route of Article 252? Or he is going to also prefer to the President that, okay, now that there's a constitutional review committee, you think that even after the appointment, this is the position that I want to take. So, I just want to take his opinion in the event that he's asked as to how this appointment will have to be done, taking into consideration the two constitutional provisions as far as Article 70 and 252 is concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my answer was that my opinion was sought, and I gave my opinion. The question my very good brother is asking is the position of the law. But like he has rightly answered, I answered by saying that together with Parliament, we are going to amend the necessary laws. And amending the necessary laws, it is not the minister alone who is going to do it. Truly, there is a constitutional review committee, like you have rightly said, and which is going to deal with the constitution. But I just wanted it to be made clear that there have been implementation challenges, and those implementation challenges must be addressed. Addressing them will be amendment to the various laws regulating the appointment and the functions of the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund. So I take it on board.
Right.
Thank you very much, Honorable Safra. It's not the turn of Honorable.
I have a question. I'm supposed to have 3 questions.
Well, I asked you, and when we were starting,
My second question to the nominee is, with respect to election of MMD seats, I just want to pick your thought on that. All over the world, there seemed to be a certain approval or some amount of unanimity as to election of MMDs. In Ghana, we don't have it that way. So, Mr. Chairman, can you protect me? I'm receiving bows from all over the table.
Please let the honorable member ask his question.
And so, 1, do you agree to the fact that we should allow MMDCs to be elected? And secondly, does it have to be done on partisan basis? These are the questions I want to ask.
Mr. Chairman, 1, in the first question, I do agree that MMDCs must be elected. The second question is, I disagree that it must be done on partisan basis, and that is the bone of contention between the two sides. We said MMDCs must be elected on non-partisan basis, and you said they must be elected on partisan basis. We sold these two views to Ghanaians. We had 184, you had 88. It means Ghanaians totally agree with election of MMDCs on non-partisan basis. And I believe that if there's any time that this should be done, it should be now.
Thank you, Honorable Safra. It's now the turn of Honorable Rita Odelosewa, MP for Ladadikopon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate my leader on his nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable Leader, we are aware that MMDAs are supposed to generate revenue to be able to boost the local economy. And as a former MCE, one thing that happens mostly is that there are a lot of leakages in revenue mobilization. And I want to find out from you, how do you intend to work with the MMDAs to ensure that there will be blockage of leakages of revenue mobilization? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in the first place, we are all moving towards digitization of or automation of revenue generation channels. And therefore, the first solution will be to digitize all revenue generation or revenue collection points at the MMDAs. 2, Mr. Chairman, we must deliver open and accountable governance where chiefs, opinion leaders, and people residing in a particular jurisdiction of a district assembly will be aware of 1, revenues generated from their electoral areas, 2, revenue generated from their district assemblies, 3, how those revenues have been applied to the various contracts that have been awarded. If we practice a bit of accountability, Mr. Chairman, I think it will go a long way to improve upon the revenue generation of the MMDs. It should not be a one-man job. It must be a participatory service in nature.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Leader, I want to find out from you if you will consider recruiting more revenue collectors to support in revenue mobilization. I speak as a typical example, citing my municipality, the Adikotopon. It's a big place, and I believe the revenue collectors there are not enough to be able to collect the revenue to be used by the assembly.
The Chairman, having been a long-standing member of the local committee, there was a particular exercise where we embarked upon a field work to go to the various MMDs and identify how much IGF, internally generated fund, they've been collecting annually. The Chairman, it will surprise you. The staff, the amount spent on the revenue staff is more than the amount that is used to pay them. Most of the assemblies. And this was one of our fundings. And therefore, a lot of recommendations were given. And I think the report was taken on the floor of Parliament. And the records are there. So the issue goes beyond just recruitment. Secondly, in that report, we suggested that we employ a number of national service personnel as seated in Accra, some as receptionists, and their services are being needed in most of the MMDs to collect revenue. So, Mr. Chairman, beyond waiting to get financial clearance from the Minister of Finance to employ revenue collectors, we may have to visit the side of going to the National Service Secretariat, asking for national service personnel and giving them to the various MMDAs, charging them with the responsibility that those who will be so hardworking to be able to collect more revenue to the assembly during their national service time may be recommended for recruitment into this area of revenue collection. If those measures are taken, Mr. Chairman, I think it will help to improve upon the revenue collection of the various assemblies. Because once you employ the person and tell him that you are a full-time revenue collector, the person goes and become, excuse me to say, I don't want to use the word lazy, refuse to work as hard as the commission collectors. And this is the more reason why we must engage national service persons, charge them with responsibility, motivate them with the opportunity to be retained. In that regard, Mr. Chairman, I believe we will help solve the problem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Leader, my last one is, I believe in your capabilities, and I know you are going to designate for local government, chieftaincy, and religious affairs. And I trust that you are going to work with our chiefs and religious bodies to ensure that we continue to enjoy the peace that we are enjoying. Institution, you are going to keep an eye there, and whoever will represent you on that front will give you proper reports so that wherever there are issues, we'll be able to resolve them. On this note, I want to congratulate you again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, my good sister, Honorable Rita Odolesoa.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Honorable Patrick Yabuama.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and congratulations to my good friend and brother, and then you'll be in through.
Anyhow, thank you, my good brother.
Thank you. Ahmed, I can see a lot of prominent chiefs behind you, and your portfolio includes that of the chieftaincy, our revered chieftaincy institution, which is captured under Chapter 20 of our Constitution, 22. We have witnessed a lot of chieftaincy disputes in this country. Some resolved, some unresolved. Even if you look at the Chieftaincy Act of 1970, provisions were made for the traditional houses to settle disputes. Same repeated under the 2008 Act. The same definition for who a chief is retained, Asante and other paramount chiefs. Their designations and categorizations are there. If you go to the traditional judicial councils, I don't know if you have your Chieftaincy Act with you. Don't worry, I'll assist you. But from section 22 to 30 deals with the jurisdictions of the various houses of chiefs and judicial committees and their rules. The chiefs they don't earn any income. Even their lands, there are issues with other neighbors. Investors do have issues with them. They go and do all sorts of things there. The capacity of the judicial councils to even deal with matters affecting the institutions down there, to the extent that they can't even afford the services of lawyers to handle matters for them. Because for them to be able to hire the services of lawyers to deal with issues relating to their paramountcies or schemes requires the services of very good lawyers to handle same. Some ought to be on retainer. How are you going to use your office to resource the various judicial councils to be able to recruit the right lawyers to deal with some of the matters affecting chieftaincy in this country? Because their positions are recognized by the Constitution and also the Chieftaincy Act. Thank you.
Thank you, my very good brother. This is a very sensitive This is a very sensitive area, but as you have asked, it was one of the concerns of the chiefs. In the first place, our distinguished and revered chiefs earn their place by birth. And therefore, as one of our recommendations or suggestions, thank God the chieftaincy ministry is now being merged, is now taking its rightful position with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. What we are going to do is to consider liaise with whoever becomes the Attorney General and look at how best the Attorney General together with our revered chiefs can work together to improve upon the condition of the lawyers of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. With that, if the conditions appointment is being done by the Attorney General, the lawyers who are working at the Chieftaincy Judicial Committee and these things will have some side of relief, because they will be entitled to the conditions of service of the lawyers in the Ministry of Attorney General, the Attorney General Ministry. In that way, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will help to retain good and qualified lawyers to support our chiefs. 2, now that we are going to be privileged to establish our own university for local governance studies, one of the courses that are being suggested is that since our revered chiefs earn their positions by birth, it is the responsibility of the state, looking at the sensitive roles that they play, that we give them capacity building training by establishing a course in the University for Local Governance called Royal Academy of Chiefs, where the state will help or facilitate in training and organizing seminars and courses or capacity building courses for our chiefs through by giving them the customary, taking them through the customary laws and those things. If that is done, Mr. Chairman, I believe it will go a long way to solve the problem that we have.
The Royal Academy of Chiefs, will it be a department or an academy?
Mr. Chairman, we have University of Local Governance Studies. This year's capacity will be built. Chief's capacity will be built. Mr. Chairman, if you can't, I'm not a lawyer, but when it comes to law, our lawyers will tell you that when it comes to customary issues, they need to be given special touch.
Okay, hold it off. Chairman, I didn't want to do this, but let me. Honorable nominee, welcome.
Thank you, my good friend.
And congratulations. In other words, it will be a faculty for chieftaincy studies. In other words.
Mr. Speaker, that is why the lawyers are there. They will be brought together for us to bring the various subjects and courses together.
Thank you very much.
Now, we just want you to know that we have
you have intentions to run a formal program for our chiefs and queen mothers.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for adding the queen mothers.
So, Honorable, please go ahead.
Smart Ahmed. Ahmed, let me turn your attention to your party's manifesto. On, I think it's paragraph 6.31. Your intentions to upgrade. You have not been nominated. You can sit there and ask questions. Page 181 of 200. You are proposing to set up, to come out with a formula to implement the plastic waste recycling fund under the Customs Excise Amendment Act. Do you know how much goes into the fund annually? And whether you have an idea of the proposed formula and its distribution? Because I'm sure you are thinking in the light of the DACF formula or the GET fund or the NHI formula with regards to this. But first and foremost, you need to know how much, because this is what you call the baller tax that you spoke against. And now in the manifesto, you are thinking of coming out with a formula under your waste management program, solid waste management program. I don't begrudge you, but I want to have an idea. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that will fall under the jurisdiction of the Minister for Finance. Now that all the taxes are being considered and being realigned, so if you can give me the benefit of the doubt, let's wait for the Minister for Finance to bring the budget latest by next month or next 2 months. They will see the way forward. Once this, for now, it is a policy. Once the calculations and the things have not yet been done, when the Minister of Finance bring it. You and I are here, and we are going to work together to know what will go into it. But for the record, you know, I thought you were going to credit me. We were all part of a three committee made up of 75 MPs who went on nationwide tour to come to propose that there must be a sanitation tax, which is called Bola tax. And Mr. Chairman, you know I was the convener of those three-member committee. So I thought you were going to credit me. From where we sit, some may speak against it, but it was our brainchild.
Chairman, I don't have any further questions for my friend. I'm needed in the chamber, and I have to beg leave of you. Congratulations. I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But Honorable Boama, you know, you'll be highly, and your services will be highly needed in my new ministry.
For a fee.
Thank you, Honorable. It's now the turn of Honorable Roxanne Dafiamapo.
Chairman, thank you very much. Chairman, I have a couple of questions for my whip, and it's to enhance his work. No malice intended at all yet. Let's make progress. The key issue for members of parliament and also the assemblies especially, because having had the opportunity to serve on the Public Accounts Committee for 8 years, I've come accustomed to the peculiar problems of the assembly in carrying out their mandate. It's in respect of the late releases of their share of the common fund. And as the sector minister, if this persists, we are going to be bedeviled with this. What innovative means will you deploy to ensure that there are regular releases of these funds to the various assemblies to carry out their mandate from not the Ministry of Finance?
Mr. Chairman, you and I know that any government that plays with the timely release of this Assembly Common Fund to the MMDs pays the consequences. In 2014, the NDC couldn't pay the third quarter. I was a deputy whip. We spoke about it. We lost the 2016 elections. After that, it was paid. In 2024, the current government also delayed in paying the third and fourth quarter. He also paid the price. And after losing, he has paid. Whether you win or lose, you pay it. So a government that is in power and you want to win your elections, you must pay for your DCEs to work. If they work, the electorate will be happy. And I will continue to work as I used to work when I was a member of the local governance committee, and make sure there is timely releases of those funds. Thankfully, by the high office of the Minister responsible for Finance, who is very organized and focused, and who understands he is a 5-time member of parliament. I'm a 5-time member of parliament. We all understand the repercussions of pay. So if we want the electorate to be happy and retain the government, we will do whatever possible the monies are released. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, as in connection with the person who sits at the office of the administrator for this Assembly Common Fund, that is going to be a crucial consideration that we must all take due cognizance of. if you consider the role that such a sensitive office play, the person who occupies it must be a person, and it is for that reason that article, the Constitution is clear that this committee must not only vet the minister responsible for local governance, but you must also vet the person who is going to be the administrator for district assembly common fund. So whoever is going to see there, and I believe this question when he comes, it must also be made clear to him or her.
Beautiful. Now, one problem that the Public Accounts Committee also got confronted with as a result of the Auditor General having to flag it year in, year out, is the issue of the deterioration of assembly offices. A lot of our district assemblies, the structures are in a state of disuse, and they are unable to raise the necessary do undertake early renovation, and so as the years roll by, the structures falls into desuetude, as lawyers will say. Your ministry, so these are the existing problems. Desuetude, that's a law term. Disuse. So is with alacrity, so that the assemblies, they operate from very good environment, so to speak.
As a matter of cost, I can build a whole district. You cannot be given one building, and you say that within that district jurisdiction, they cannot maintain that one house. I totally disagree. So what we can do, and you are unable to maintain, repair your own office, then you have no bed. They are local economic development agents. You cannot be sitting there waiting for Accra to bring you money. That will also be tackled. That is why I said we are going to form a common where all ministers for local governance, former chief directors responsible for local, they are all going to be consulted. When it comes to local governance, we have the Honorable Joseph Yelichre, the Honorable Ofusuampofo, the Honorable Oponfoso, the Honorable Matiaje Mensah-Kosa, the Honorable Damboche, Haji Alima. We have a number of former ministers for local governance. They all wanted to do something small, they couldn't complete it. In the same way, we have to do something, they couldn't complete it. We will practice what we call administrative continuity. We will bring all those people together in a formal way, so that the nation will benefit from the opportunity that they were given when they were in office. There are little things that we can do, and I believe that there will be a change, and there will be, they attend funerals, attend programs, attend workshops, and come and see they're waiting for Accra to bring them money. We'll move beyond that.
Now, there are some peculiar problems with some assemblies, and I'll cite my district to make the point. The problem is in demarcating the administrative jurisdictions for some of these assemblies. Some traditional areas are bifurcated into two. So, for instance, if you take the Southern districts, Peve is my district capital. If you get to Peve, half of Peve lies in Afajato South, the town, and half constitutes the district capital for Southern. One community. We're crying, but we have also done it to some traditional areas. So how are we going to tackle that? And let me add, if you go to the other side of Southern, when we were under Kpando, the Dejo was part of Southern. But when Southern was carved out of Kpando as the district, somehow that the Edo now falls under the administrative jurisdiction of whole West, even though it's Peki community. And the Peki people, my people, I'm their MP. We've submitted petitions, just like Beve also did, for that to be corrected. It's taking forever. And I know that having gone around this country in our public accounts work, we've encountered this in several other areas. So how do we streamline this so that peculiar traditional areas fall within peculiar administrative jurisdictions of districts?
Mr. Chairman, this is something we must give critical look at. Boundary dispute is real. I have visited a number of districts assemblies in my 17 years or 16 or more in this parliament, and it is a time bomb. Ghana as a country used to play with boundary issues, and it was not until 2010 that, being a member in this house, when we had critical problem with Cote d'Ivoire, that we formed the Ghana Boundary Commission. And you know that is only responsible for international boundaries. But when it comes to the internal boundaries, there's a shortcoming in that regard. So when giving the nod, it is an aspect that a critical look must be taken. Thank God we are bringing our distinguished and revered chiefs on board, who are privy to these physical boundaries and barriers. So clearly, one, there will be a lot of consultations, and some technical brains must be put together to make sure that we address that issue. The reason why it keeps on increasing and increasing is that we create some districts, we don't finish redrawing the district boundaries, geographical boundaries, then we create other ones. So we keep on compounding that problem. But I believe, as a country, time is of essence to make sure that we know our internal boundaries. And Mr. Chairman, we have a lot of surveyors in this country. A number of them don't think it will be a difficult thing for us to do if we want to raise our boundary distance. But one critical thing is that when it comes to constituencies, it doesn't fall within the jurisdiction of the minister responsible for local government. That lies within the purview of the electoral commissioner. Until the electoral commission create his constituencies, the minister cannot be saying that, oh, I will redraw this or redraw that. Secondly, Article 47 is clear. That's for electoral commission. As for the duration for the creation of those things to, is 7 years or after population census. So if I sit here and say, oh, we will redraw the district boundaries or electoral boundaries, I may not. But the existing ones can be rechecked and make sure that there is a district map for every district. But that will also need time. There are very critical issues, and this is a national security issue matter. So I believe it must be looked at. But I can't promise either this year or next year. But for now, we identify it as a problem.
Beautiful. Now, one of the recurrent problems that auditors flag in respect of Assembly's work is the issue where I already touched on it, but I'm getting back to it, where commission revenue collectors, they will go to the centers, collect the revenues from our poor market women. Even when the assets are not good, they'll still collect. If you want to build, they say stop work, produce permits, you go and pay permit fee, they'll collect the money, but they will not account for it. Oftentimes, they abscond with the revenues collected. And Auditor General will make recommendations, retrieve the money and prosecute. It's never done. Will you consider, as part of your new policy directives for the ministry, to ask that assemblies in recruiting revenue collectors, they should have guarantors. Somebody must guarantee before you are made to collect revenues on behalf of the assembly. So when the person absconds, there's somebody to be held responsible for. Will you consider that?
Mr. Chairman, it must be seriously considered. And now that the owners of the land and the owners of the district have been brought on board, I think those things must be things of the past. And that's why I said revenue collectors will account openly to the district for us to see the electoral areas that are performing and those that are underperforming. These are critical areas that we must all look at. If a revenue collector or a commission revenue collector has come with the money, whose money do you think he's running away with? It's your money. And therefore, we must all make sure that we fish for them. So when the chiefs have been brought on board, and you bring stricter and rigid measures regarding revenue collection, and the IGF is your something concrete for people to see, I think there will be improvement. When you go and collect the revenue, the people don't see what you have used with the revenue IGF locally. Tomorrow, when you go, will you get? The answer is no. So we must start a new thing. Give ourselves some time. Look at the returns of our effort. If it is good, we move ahead. If no, then we change our steps. But you can't be doing the same thing and expect a different result. There must be a new reset.
Thank you very much. Let me conclude by saying that I like the points in respect of the issues where you are proposing that lawyers from the Office of the Attorney General will be seconded to the various traditional councils to assist them in their work. It will be such a major policy shift because the decisions from the judicial committees of traditional councils actually settles a lot of chieftaincy disputes all the way to the Supreme Court. Yeah. So that proposal, if you are able to do it, will be a major thing that will bring comfort to our chiefs and queen matters. Yeah. And I want to thank you for that innovative idea. I thank you for coming.
Thank you,
and once more, congratulations.
Honorable Ahmed, my brother,
and leader.
Congratulations.
Thank you, leader.
I entered this parliament in 2009 with you. We were over 100 members. Today, I think we are, that 2009 group, we are 4 of us. It's me and you, Honorable Atufos, and I'm remembering Honorable Bejra. That should tell you about the attrition of parliament. And it also must tell you what it takes to sustain being a member of parliament. You have been a deputy whip, and when we were fortunate to be part of leadership, your experience was valuable in guiding us. You have been very passionate about the issues of local government.
Thank you.
And so there is no doubt in my mind that you are going to be very successful as a local government. Now, what is exciting about this new role, and that brings me to the very important question I have for you, has to do with the role of chiefs. You know that chiefs have been really the governor has been with the chiefs at the local level since the beginning. And so when we started going this path in democracy, I think that what has always come up has to do with what we can do to really get our chiefs involved in local governance. This ministry, I'm sure, has been put this way for a purpose. Can you share with us some of the things we do to really get our chiefs to be active at the local governance level?
Thank you, my leader and my very good brother. There are so many things we do together with our chiefs. Mr. Chairman, you are not far from right when you said traditionally our chiefs used to be the development agents and leaders in their various jurisdictions until the modern governance came. So the merger or the fusion of traditional governance and modern governance is going to be of great benefit to this country. Mr. Chairman, there will be a common interface, not only with chiefs, traditional leaders and modern leaders, traditional governance and modern governance, but together with one other sensitive area, that's our pastors, imams, religious leaders, and faith-based leaders, who I always describe as eminent social capital in this country. More often than not, we tend to overlook their effort. But until we bring their culture as part of our development culture, we will not get to the destination where we are going to. Because we have professors who are pastors, professors who are chiefs, engineers who are pastors, engineers who are chiefs. So if it happens that wherever those people are posted to, if you bring that on interface, so that every district will bring the chiefs, the pastors, the DCs, and the MPs together as a in the development forum, they will be able to identify the jurisdictions. And Mr. Chairman, with a little push from the center, most of these problems will be solved, rather than allowing only the DCE and saying that he is the overall president representatives and everybody is waiting for him to do something for them to see. That is why we were not going at the speed that we were expected to go. So the vision of His Excellency the President is to make sure that he gives the baton back, or the key back, to the original owners. He is not saying that I'm going to do away with DCEs, but he has recognized the development contribution of our traditional authorities and our faith-based leaders. And that is why he's merging the two. So I practically understand it, and I'm going to build upon it. That is one effective thing that we are going to do.
Thank you, Honorable Ahmed. There are a lot of issues I have. I'm just going to mention them. Take note of them as issues that must really concern you. One has to do with the role of assembly members and how we build their capacity at that local level. You know, for example, some DCs for over a year will not even call for assembly meetings. Assembly members were weakened, especially based on some of the experiences I've had. And oftentimes their communities they represent have blamed them that they are not performing. Exactly the things we must do to strengthen assembly members must engage you. The issue of market management, markets, you know, the issue of market fires and the challenges we have there must be an issue that must really get the attention of the district assembly and the district DCEs. That must be something that we must come up with pragmatic measures to address. And there are also districts that frankly must be, at a second look, must be taken at for us to see how we can break them up, because they are too huge, even now as we speak, generally speaking. So those are issues that I think we must really concern you. Honorable Ahmed, those are no questions. I want you to say that I'm very, very proud of you. You've come a long way. There's no doubt that you succeed as an elder and a brother in Christ. I know that the Lord will guide you to succeed. And congratulations.
Thank you, Leader.
Congratulations. Honorable Ahmed, he was accompanied by distinguished guests, our paramount chiefs, that at this point I will now be privileged to introduce. Okay. So I'll introduce the paramount chiefs and the distinguished that accompanied Honorable Ahmed. What is this?
His Royal Majesty.
His Royal Majesty Odinohu Dr. Fra Bempong III Omahin Suma Traditional Council, representation of Bono House of Chiefs. Chiefs, you're welcome. We have Obuade Noti King of Odafia Welenti, the third paramount chief, Nungwa Traditional Area, and President Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs is a representative of the National House of Chiefs as well. You are welcome, Nana. The third is that we have Osajifu and Eya Mampong, Mamprako the third, Wenchi Mahin, representative of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs. Nana, you are welcome. We also have Apostle Emmanuel Tete. You're welcome. We have the Church of Pentecost Pastor Emmanuel Kuku Apia, Sakumara District Pastor is here. Ambassador Kwajun Yamcherafo, Honorable, my former regional minister, you're welcome. This gift to Ibrahim Ahmed. Madam, thank you so much for all the support. Nana Libi Wati Banda Traditional Council representative, you are welcome. We have Nana Jato the second. Kwala Sehini Banda Traditional Council, Nana, you are welcome. Nana Pe Abuatia the second, Bamu Traditional Council, you are welcome. Nana Ka Bako Banda Traditional Council. Nana Hanteli Obempohini Banda Traditional Council.